you're listening to Rose Ed, the definitive soccer podcast, and it's a big week in the Premier League as Liverpool and City have an absolute humdinger, as James Milner is lucky to stay on the pitch, while everyone can count themselves lucky to have seen that Salah goal. And Arsenal have the most disappointing afternoon at the seaside since I took my ex-girlfriend on a romantic getaway and we had to come home a day early because she dumped me. True story. You are listening to Rose Ed with me, Joe Forrester, and Hannah East. Hi, Hannah.
Hello.
Sad story, isn't it, to start the podcast?
I know. The thing is, I know you're actually not joking. I know that's genuinely a true story.
Well, the thing is,
Never
right,
know.
one thing about having a sad, pathetic life is obviously it's quite depressing, but gives you a lot of content for the podcast. So every cloud. We're here with Mike as well. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. Are you going to tell us what happens on this horrible trip?
Yeah, so basically my ex-girlfriend, probably the kind of first person that I sort of really got excited about and was sort of thinking about, maybe we've got a future together. We went away for a romantic seaside getaway and she was acting a bit weird. And on the first night I said, look, what's going on? And we ended up splitting up and coming home a day early. So never getting that money back, am I, from Airbnb? Also, right, I just bought her. This is a sad start to the podcast, isn't it? Also, I'd just bought her. I spent like 200 quid on a couple's spa day for her birthday, and she said, "Oh, do you want the spa day back?" Now, yes is the answer.
Yes.
Don't tell me you let her have the spa day and take a friend.
You can't say yes, can you? So she obviously took a friend.
I would have said yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because I love a spa day. And I'd have rung them up and gone, look, I've paid for a couple's spa day. Can I split that in half and get 2 solo spa days for myself? On with the show. How have you been, Hannah?
Yeah, good, thank you. Back to Loughborough, back home. Been looking after my dad. I'm very happy to be home. That's so boring, isn't it?
It's like a footballer's answer. Yeah, it's great. It's great to be back. I've always loved this club. And it's just terrific to be back.
Anyway.
You worried the lawyer's listening?
It's a good footballer's interview.
Yeah. Now, Mike, we have something to deal with here. Do you want to say sorry to my mum? Do you want to say sorry to Laura Forrester now? I'll give you an opportunity.
I just want to say to Laura Forrester, if Joe can make it happen, then why don't you come on the podcast and we can hash it out? Because I think she's taken some of my comments out of context and I'm not very happy with her. So I'd like to have a bit of a chat.
Mum, I'm sorry, because it's not my doing. I didn't plan this, right? And I feel the same as you do about Mike. So do you know what, right? She was furious because she said, typical Arsenal fan. Because I was going, the thing is Spurs don't have the money that United or City or Liverpool have, or even the money that Arsenal have. Now, what Mike heard when I said that was, Arsenal are rubbish. I hate Arsenal. He's like, even Arsenal. So obviously my mum is a lifelong Tottenham fan as well, as are all of the Forrester crime family. So she took umbrage at that. But I just think there's a bit of tension between and it could just be that you're my new daddy. Daddy. Right. How's your week been though, Mike?
Yes, it's been okay. As you say, it was a bit of a boring weekend for Arsenal, but otherwise a good weekend of football, definitely. And we've got some exciting stuff to look forward to this weekend, especially Tyson Fury against Deontay Wilder. That should be good. No actual football. International break's a bit boring, obviously. But I'm looking forward to that. It should be good.
If you've come here to listen to about and you want to hear more about the kind of Nations League and World Cup qualifiers, we won't talk about it at all. It's literally not getting mentioned. I don't know who England are playing. So they're
playing Andorra and Hungary. I know that, but I'm not expecting anything. England top of their World Cup qualifying group. They're going to sail through, so it's a procession.
Andorra, I lick your boom boom down. And also this week, WhatsApp and Instagram went down, and Facebook. Hannah, how did you deal with it?
Well, it was lovely. I was a bit disappointed that TikTok was still accessible, wasn't it? Yeah. Given all of our TikTok situation. We've been going for 2 weeks now on TikTok, and I am still arguing with teenagers. So I'm just going to turn comments off moving forward, because I can't spend my time arguing with young boys, because it's not good, is it? I can't keep.
Even though you love it, Hannah.
Well, I do love it. Especially if somebody comes at me and they've got a really big forehead, like a 10 head, because that's how you measure your forehead, isn't it? 4 fingers on your head. That's why it's called a forehead. And you sometimes get like these young people with 10 heads, like you could put 10 fingers on top of each other. And they say to me that something is. I'm going to bite back, babes.
Can I just say, right, that is not why a forehead is called a forehead. That is,
right, put 4 fingers on your head. Mind you might need 5, Joe, but...
Oh. She's in a savage mood.
I'm literally joking. But seriously, put 4 fingers on your head.
I've got a
From
complex.
your eyebrows to your head.
It's spelled differently. It's 4. It's like the front part of.
Yeah, but that's what it is. It's a forehead.
There you go. Some science. Here comes the science bit. Well, one thing that has been quite big on social media this week, Kylian Mbappe gave an interview and he said he called Neymar a bum, didn't he, Mike? Is there unrest at PSG? They lost to Rennes at the weekend, of course.
Yeah. I think there was sort of footage of it before, but now he's actually confirmed that he said that. And obviously, PSG, the sort of dream front three, is not a well-oiled machine just yet. And Mbappe has sort of been making noises of late that he's not happy. He came out and said as well that he wanted to leave PSG in the summer. He was heavily linked with a move to Real Madrid, but it didn't quite happen. And then he's basically saying, I wanted to go so that PSG could get some money so that I don't go next season when my contract runs out. So it's all a little bit weird. It's like he's obviously like a global superstar based on what he's done. Obviously he was brilliant at the 2018 World Cup. That's where everyone sort of heard his name. But since then, has he kicked on? Has he sort of fulfilled a bit most of that potential yet? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because he tried to spin it and say that he tried to spin it like he was a nice guy. He's like, look, I want to go, but I want you guys to get some money. So don't let me go on a free. Yeah, because I've got your best interests at heart, which is just patently nonsense. I think this Neymar, Messi, Mbappe front three thing, this is why I don't think they'll win the Champions League, because they'll all argue, probably not Messi to be fair, although he does have an element to him, but there's so much ego, and also none of the three of them have any desire to track back whatsoever. So I just think tactically, if they play Bayern, I just think they'll get absolutely spanked. Although Bayern did lose at the weekend as well. Also, after the win against Man City last week, the PSG team, or a lot of the PSG team, Marco Verratti, Neymar and Mbappe, I know definitely, were in the Medellin nightclub in Paris until 5 a.m. And then they lost on the weekend. I'm just saying, it's a bit of a come down, if you know what I'm saying. So, but Hannah, have you ever been caught slagging someone off at work?
Yes, I have. And one of them, I don't want to say what TV show it was on, but basically there was a new makeup artist, and she did my hair and makeup for me, and I was about to go live, and you've got your gallery, and then you've got your studio. So she said to me, how do you want your hair? And I was like, listen, just do whatever you can to sort my face out, sort my hair out. She was there for a while. And then I looked in the mirror, and when you see these memes of people that have makeup on with a line here, that the foundation that doesn't match the skin color. And I could like literally scratch my face, and makeup was coming into my nails. My hair was like Tina Turner on a really, really bad day. I looked really bad, like worse than usual. And I went into the toilet, and I was like, because I don't know what makeup she'd put on. It was almost like she was dressing me as a dead person and putting makeup on.
Oh, like you're a corpse and she's dressing you for the viewing.
Yeah, I looked like that. And then I went and sat in the studio, and I said to the two people that were on my show with me, which I don't want to say because then you'll know exactly what show it was. Then they just sort of said, gosh, you all right? I thought, oh my God, it was awful.
That's what you want to hear.
So then I sat there and I was like, what has she done to me? And I was trying to make a joke of it. And I was, oh, she's new. And I knew I could see, on the camera, I could see how bad I looked. And I said, oh, she's obviously new. And like, she's obviously really a job. And they were like, oh, visit to Specsavers. And we went on for ages. And the more they were joking about, the more I realized how bad I looked. So I just carried on. And she was sat in the gallery and the mics were on and she was listening. Yeah. And then it wasn't till after that I realized that she was actually sat there. And it was her first day on the job.
Rookie.
That is something
massive.
That every presenter learns the hard way at some point. So me, it's normally like I'm talking about sex or something.
Yeah.
So yes, what I like to do, you turn it upside down, and someone will come in, Joe, just so you know, the mic's alive. But like, yeah, I knew that. Yeah, I was actually talking about something else. But like, but every presenter learns that you think you're just chatting to someone on set, but there's a whole gallery full of people just like, what a weirdo or what a bell end. Friend of the show, actually, Matt Carlton, who I know you know, who is one of our staunchest supporters and listeners. He once told me that when he was living in North Allerton in Yorkshire, they were all running away from a girl that they didn't like on a night out. And then after they were running away,
was that me?
Yeah, a girl called Hannah. And he said, like, he's like, oh, and we got away from her. And I was like, oh, thank that we've managed to lose so-and-so. And everyone's face went white, and I turned around and she stood behind me, isn't she? And I was like, oh, I meant somebody else, didn't I? So it can happen. Mike, you're quite a kind man. I can't imagine you really slacking people off.
Yeah, so I've probably done sort of reverse what Hannah's done. It was on radio, but instead of the presenters talking about the people behind the scenes, it was me as the producer talking about someone who was on air. So in radio, you have like a talkback feature where you can speak to the different presenters, and it's got like different channels 1, 2, 3, and I wasn't really a fan of the presenter that I was working with. And someone that I did like was sat in the other chair. It was Hugo.
You used to just tell me to my face when it was rubbish.
Yeah, basically. Or write in your running order. Joe, you're shit. Quit your job. So actually, I was criticising the guy who I thought was my friend, but I was actually just criticising the guy.
And what did you say?
To his face or to his ear, and I was like, oh, F's sake, I've got to work with this guy for another day. He's awful. When are we going to get rid of him?
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, and he heard. And I had to just like play it off and be like, oh, I was just having a bad day and everything. So, yeah, not my finest moment.
Right. Game of the season at the weekend, or half of the season, certainly. City versus Liverpool. Do you enjoy it, Mike?
What a game. Yeah, I think early game of the season contender for me. Like, it just had absolutely everything. First half was a little bit dry. I think Liverpool couldn't cope with Man City, didn't really know what to do, couldn't get out, just couldn't find any exit ball. But second half, it just completely came to life. And I think it was like the best quality football on show in the Premier League. But obviously, we're talking about Chelsea's title contenders, but they don't play like fast, free-flowing football like Liverpool, Man City do. And Liverpool, it's almost like they've gone, oh, well, they've been, good defensively in the past, and they've been, good going forward. But this season, they're sort of like, oh, forget it. Like, we're just going to go for it. And they're, obviously they've had like the 3-3 against Brentford. It was 2-2, and it just makes for a really good spectacle. And obviously Mo Salah as well, his goal, next level.
Yeah, do you enjoy that Salah goal, Hannah? I don't like Liverpool, but it's pretty hard not to say how good that goal was.
Well, even if you don't like Liverpool, you have to like Salah. That's the rule, isn't it? You have to.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
He's cute, isn't he?
But it's you appreciate. You always say about Spurs that you're not seeing at the moment is good, entertaining football. When Salah's on the pitch. Sorry, when Salah's on the pitch. I'm going for you today. I'm sorry, Joe. When Salah's on the pitch, he's.
We're back.
Say that again.
No. We're back. The title charge starts.
Do you not want to sack him?
No, I love him. In Nuno, we trust.
All right, okay.
Oh, you're worse.
A little nibble on Nuno. Too Suno to Sacco Nuno. Right, sorry. Sorry, Hannah, sorry.
But like you say, we were talking about Salah. You have to appreciate his style and his performances every single week that he plays. But it showed that Manchester City mean business. Beating Chelsea the week before, getting the 3 points, and then drawing against Liverpool. You would take those points any day. They're tough matches, and I think Man City are just kind of showing they're about to kick on. And we talked about this weeks ago. We were like, City haven't had the best start. They didn't have the best start last season, but they just kick on and they keep maintaining that consistency. And I think that's what we're going to see for the rest of the season from them. Just a bit of a slow start, I think, for them.
Yeah, watching that game, Mike, I thought we're seeing the team who are in the most exceptional form against the player who's in the most exceptional form.
Yeah, definitely. I think City were excellent, and just like the amount of options that they have, like the fact that Foden missed the start of the season, Ferran Torres was playing, and now Foden's come back in. Gabriel Jesus shifted out to the right. Like, there's so many things that they can do, and so many like little tactical tweaks and stuff that Pep makes that just make them such a hard proposition to deal with. Because in that game, they weren't really playing a number 9, so it's like, who do the defenders mark? Like they can't deal with it, and it's just impossible to try and stop. So they are kicking on, as Hannah said, and they will get stronger and stronger. I still feel like Chelsea are my favourites because I feel like they've got that ability to grind out a game. They've got probably one of the best defences in the league, as well as City. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I heard, actually, just to mention, Antonio Conte talking about Romelu Lukaku a few weeks ago, and he was saying, Chelsea have not quite worked out how to use him yet, and I think that's true. But when that does come, I think they will be unstoppable.
Yeah, he kind of said don't break him, didn't he? The implication being that the Premier League misused him before, he fixed him. So don't ruin him again because I fixed him.
Yeah, it was a bit of bragging, to be honest. It was like, I basically made Lukaku into the striker that he is. I mean, I think the player has to take responsibility for a large bit of that. Like, Conte did not literally fix him. So it was a little bit like, after the fact saying, I made him incredible. But yeah, I mean, I guess he has a point, because he's a very specific style of striker, and it takes time to sort of develop the team. You almost have to build it around him a little bit. So I understand what he was saying, but it was a bit, a bit flashy, wasn't it, from Conte?
And Hannah, do you think that James Milner might have a bit of PTSD from trying to deal with Phil Foden all day? I mean, he got turned inside out, didn't he?
Yeah, like literally torn to bits. But surely that was going to be expected. We would have expected that before the game, wouldn't he?
Yeah, well, this is it. And I thought Milner was pretty lucky to still be on the pitch at the end. He should have been sent off, really. Mike, can we have a word for Bernardo Silva? Because he did one of the most fun things in football. He basically just got the ball, sort of ran around backwards, forwards, side to side, not really trying to do anything, but just basically just like, when you've got the best player at school and the game is, can you tackle them? That was basically it. And they couldn't get the ball off. It was really sort of pointless, but really fun to watch.
Yeah, you just you didn't feel sorry for the defenders, but you're almost like, what do they do here? I think I've experienced something similar myself. So I played against like a mini Messi, who is Marcus Edwards.
Okay.
So he was like a Spurs like starter. I think he plays in the Portuguese league now. And I played against him at school. He was like not at school. Sorry, he went to my school, but I played with him at Power League, which is like sort of 5-a-side football. And he just did that to us like all game. Like, he was just ridiculous. So I sympathise with the defenders, and it's just not fun. It's just like taking the.
He is currently plying his trade at Vitória de Guimarães in the Portuguese First Division. So yeah, he's probably pretty good.
Yeah. I think he was like. I think Pochettino actually compared him to Messi, and later said, I regretted saying that, because as soon as you do that, obviously, like, the hype levels go through the roof. And I think he was actually a really good player, maybe a little bit small for the Premier League, but yeah, it's not fun getting twisted up. But Bernardo Silva's another one. Like, he's just unbelievable, and I think he was like rumoured to be leaving last summer. It's just like, how many players do you want? Like, enough is enough.
Also, Hannah, you didn't show up at Old Trafford on Saturday, and were you pleased that you didn't in the end?
Yeah, to be honest. Yeah, I was. There's so much chat and talk about Martial. Now, I know he scored, but there's no urgency at all for the ball.
He did score, Hannah, after being dropped.
It was his goal quite well.
Partially a bit of a deflection, but yeah, it's when you watch him back, it's like he just doesn't want to be there. And I think as a United fan, you want a player to be part of the team that actually care when they walk onto that pitch, and you can see that passion and that desire in their face. And he just doesn't have it. He's just never really had it since he's played for Manchester United. I just think his time there's done.
Why were Ronaldo and Paul Pogba not playing? Sir Alex Ferguson, as Mike was pointing out before the show, was asking this after the game. He was caught on camera talking to Khabib Nurmagomedov. Is that how you say it, Mike?
Yeah.
Close enough.
How do you say it?
Nurmagomedov.
No, I missed out a syllable. He was caught on camera talking to Khabib Nurmagomedov. There we go. First time.
Well done, Mike.
And who doesn't look dissimilar to. But you've said this before in your lookalikes.
No, Martin Allen said this, former Barnet and Chesterfield manager.
Yeah, Brentford.
If anyone, I'm not sure our American audience will know him, but yeah, Martin Allen. So like,
if you're listening in Wisconsin, when we start talking about Martin Allen's time at Chesterfield, that's when maybe you part the podcast. Sorry guys, I'm back. Alex Ferguson was questioning why Ronaldo and Pogba didn't start. It's very easy to do that kind of revisionism when it comes to football. But Hannah, I mean, why are you resting two players before an international break? I mean, don't worry about them playing for their countries. Like, they should be playing for United, right?
I partially agree with that. And then I partially look at the fact that Ronaldo's 36, and it may be a decision that he's kind of suggested not to start, not to play a full match. We've got to remember he is scoring us goals. He's consistent, mostly scoring goals in every match. And Ole would get absolutely scrutinised if Ronaldo started and played the full match and then he gets injured. And then what? What's our comeback? Because at the moment we need Ronaldo. So we need those goals. And I think we're identifying gaps in the team and areas, particularly our midfield, that are becoming problematic. And we can't afford for Ronaldo not to have that injection of pace and have him up front. We need him there. So I fully agree. Don't start him. Who starts it? What 36-year-old player is playing week in, week out for a full match?
I suppose my point is that he's potentially got 10 days off. I mean, he's going to want to probably play in the international game against Qatar.
Which he will be, yeah. And the travel time, you've got to consider that as well. This guy's very regimented and lives by routine. So travel and movement and diet, things like that will be affected. So maybe it's a call on him. We don't know.
Do you think he's telling Ole when he plays and doesn't?
I mean, you kind of assume that he would be.
Yeah.
Like, this is Ronaldo we're talking about. Like, if he doesn't want to play against a lower team or a team at the bottom of the table, and he doesn't need to, and he can be rested, he knows his body sort of inside out. He's an athlete. He's a machine. So, he's, I think that's a Yorkshire phrase.
Yeah, you don't know your body inside, do you? I don't really want to.
He does. Of course he does. It's Ronaldo. Come on.
What's he been doing?
So
do you think he's like, do you remember Dr. Gillian McKeith?
Oh my!
Who used to go through people's poo to say what they should eat? I actually did.
I bet somebody goes through his poo to make sure that he's hydrated, to make sure he's eating the right stuff, his digestive system's working correctly and efficiently. Of course they will be.
Would you want that? Would you want a person who comes around and looks at your poo?
Well, girls don't poo anyway, but if I was a guy, then if I was Ronaldo and he's a brand and he's worth like ridiculous amounts of money, then I'm sure a doctor will be like, listen, let's keep doing regular checks on your bowel movements.
I once did a show on Channel 5 called...
Oh, Christ. Here we
called
go.
When Diets Go Wrong.
On TV, and they dissected it.
Well, I knew it wasn't going to be the hit that I wanted it to be when I said, who else is on it? And they said, it's Kerry Katona and Dr. Gillian McKeith. I said, oh, who's Dr. Gillian McKeith? Said, do you remember the woman who used to go through people's poo? I was like, cool, my career, the level of my career is sifting through poo. That's pretty much where I'm at. Oh, God. Right, what did you make of Andros Townsend? Andros Townsend. Hey, I'm Andros Townsend. Yeah, buddy. What did you make of Andros Townsend's celebration?
It was great. He didn't really land it. He almost stumbled a bit, didn't he? It was quite funny. And like after the game, he was saying, it was a mark of respect to Ronaldo. I was like, was it to copy his celebration? I don't know. But like, I've got a lot of respect for Andros Townsend because he was sort of like, not down and out, but you thought, what's happened to his career? Because he was like, he came through at Spurs, obviously, looked exciting, could do like the sort of thing where he cut inside and bent it into the top corner like a bit like a one-trick pony, but he did it well. And then he sort of left Palace, and then he was like on TalkSport, and I was like, what's happened to Andros Townsend? Like, where is he at? But he's come back. He's been sensational this season. I spoke to a mate the other day, and he said, I saw Andros Townsend training at my Power League of five-a-side over the summer, like to get himself fit. And I was like, fair play. So he's gone from like that to like banging in goals in front and centre for Everton and then copying Ronaldo's celebration. I think he asked him for his shirt afterwards as well, even though I saw Ronaldo storming down the tunnel after the full-time whistle. So in answer to your earlier question about is he telling Ollie if he wants to play. I'm not sure, because I'm not sure why he wasn't fuming after they lost.
But I suppose the Power League thing, can he not? He must be able to afford better than Power League. Was he on his own on the pitch, or was he training with somebody else?
No, I think he was playing a game. I'm not 100% sure. My mate literally just said he was down Power League, like just sort of playing. So it's pretty unusual for like a professional footballer like to be doing that. So like absolutely fair play. And also one of the best hair transplants I've seen.
Yep.
Andros Townsend was balding badly.
Is it a hair transplant?
And he's got he does. If you want to have a look at really, really good hair transplants, Google Andros Townsend.
Because Rooney's had 2 hair transplants, hasn't he?
But that's
and he still looks rubbish.
I hate to, that's polishing a turd, isn't it? Like, what's the point? It's not like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like you're like, I don't know, Denzel Washington or Henry Cavill or something. It's like, oh yeah, there's something to salvage here. Don't worry about Wayne. If anything, like, you're liberated because nobody's ever going to judge you aesthetically.
Yeah.
So just live your life like that. Don't worry about it.
But he's also never had hair, has he, Rooney? Like, he's not like this guy that's had long, lushing locks, is he? Like Prince Charming. Like he's always just had short hair. Now it's a bit more short and a bit receding. So it's like,
Did you think it was going to be like the Lynx effect? Like, if suddenly you walk down the high street and everyone would be like, oh my God, who's that? Like, do you remember the Diet Coke adverts where all the women get in the lift and they're like, the lift engineer's there and they're just like, and he's just it's a really hot lift engineer with no shirt on for some reason. No shirt on, but a pair of Levi's. Rafa's doing a pretty good job at Everton though, isn't he? I think they look quite decent. Right now, Hannah, Dele Alli is dating Pep Guardiola's daughter. I've seen these photos.
That's dangerous.
Rumoured to be dating.
But I've seen photos of them together. They could just
not hashtag official.
They could just be friends. Yeah. It is a video podcast, isn't it? So that's not just for you too. So have you ever but that's quite scary if Pep's your father-in-law. Have you did Mr. Creelman ever kick off with any of your boyfriends?
Well, he kicked off a bit when I met my husband, because I've already told you the story, so it's probably a bit boring, but I met him on Gladiators and I thought he was a fitness trainer. So there's 10,000 people auditioned for Gladiators. And then when I got on, Andy got my number. So then he texted me when I was on my way home. I was actually with my ex-boyfriend at the time because he drove me there, but I wasn't actually going out with him at the time.
You made him drive you?
Yeah, but he cheated on me with a girl from Morrison's, so we kind of broke up. So.
That sounds like it was in Morrison's.
Because he worked there, you see. And
this sounds like Neil in between.
that was just
you got the girl from Asda pregnant.
So then we just broke up months before. But anyway, he took me to the audition.
Around the back
so
of the
I
fish
met
counter.
Andy. Yeah, well, he actually worked on the fish counter.
Of course he did.
Oh,
He did.
Babe, what's that smell? Work.
Yeah, I've got an infection, babe. No, so anyway, he took me to the audition. I met Andy, and Andy got my number, and I came home. I was like, oh my God, Dad, you never guess that. I've just met this guy and he's amazing. And my dad was like, oh, for Christ's sake, Hannah, not another gangly gym instructor. And I was like, because that's what obviously I thought Andy was at the time. And yeah, my dad was just like, oh, I don't like him. And then when the first day that Andy came to my house, my dad did a full police check on him. So he went outside, got his registration plate, rang it into the police, and it said, because we lived in Scarborough, and Andy had a Mercedes that was from Scarborough. So my dad was actually like, what he's done here, he's gone and hired a car, he's driven it to the house, and then he's taken it back. And for me, Hannah, that's weird because that's not registered to his name. So I was like, oh, that's really a bit weird. But actually, he just bought the car, and the only place that they sold that colour that he wanted was a place in Scarborough. It was just coincidence because he's from York. So it took my dad, and then you know the story that when we got engaged, my dad has never, ever supported Man City. And my dad became a Man City fan the day we got engaged, just to my husband off.
Is he stuck with it?
Yeah. No, he got a shared season ticket with a friend. I mean, there's a lot of season tickets going, isn't there, for Man City? So my dad got one for about a season and then just kind of got rid of it.
Mr. Creelman is rapidly becoming my favourite man on earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get him on the podcast, along with Joe's mum.
Get him on the pod. Oh, yeah. Confessions of a Constable. There we go. Get him on. Get him on. I think I smell a spin-off. Mike, you met the in-laws recently, didn't you? How did you get on? Because you slagged off their hometown of Preston, so I can't imagine that went down well.
Yeah, no, I didn't meet them recently. I went to their home because they now have moved from horrible Preston, to Cornwall. So they've upgraded massively.
Stop slagging
So
Preston
that's where I
off.
was.
Our
That's where I met
Preston
them.
are going to go.
Ah, sorry, Preston. Sorry. I'm not really sorry. It's a horrible place. No, it's not. It's not that bad. It's just like a standard like British like northern town. I'm slagging off all the north now. Oh god, it's going bad. It's actually a city that has city status, even though it probably shouldn't, because it doesn't have a cathedral. And I thought cities have to have a cathedral to be a city. So I don't know why it's got honorary status.
Yeah, I think so.
Is it a red brick university or just a university?
No, it's just like a
corrugated
iron
red brick
shack. I thought you meant
no, it can't just be like
in. Sorry, I don't mean that. Sorry, that's Mike poisoning my mind. I love Preston.
No, look, I'm obviously joking. Like,
well, you're not.
But no. So yeah, no, I've met them a few times, and to be fair, like, even though my girlfriend's dad is like 6'5", 6'6", even though my girlfriend's like whole family is like in the police force, I think literally like she's got about two or three aunties that are in the police, and about 3 or 4 uncles are in the police. They're actually okay, and I survived my trip, so I can't complain.
I can't believe both your families are Popo. I can't believe you're in the 5-0.
I know, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, not my family.
Yeah, but obviously, man like Foz is from the streets, you know. So, hope Mr. Cribble doesn't check my.
You just call yourself Foz.
Yeah. Oh, just bossing
in it, bro.
Bossing Richmond.
You're trying to think of something street to say. You just say.
It's a total eclipse of the heart. That's all I can think of because I was listening to Bonnie Tyler. Sorry, right. That's not a lot of football that we're interested in, but Tyson Fury is fighting Deontay Wilder for the third time this weekend. And yet again, I don't know how Mike books them. It's amazing. But we've got another absolute A-list guest this week. And I think we can hear Tyson Fury's prediction for the third fight with Deontay Wilder.
I'm going to smash your fucking face in, you prick. How's that for a fucking message?
Hey, there we go. Short but sweet from Tyson.
He's in confident mood, Tyson.
He is in confident mood.
Wow.
He is. He's ready for
Always is, to be fair.
Apparently, he's not having like sex or, releasing himself until the fight.
Releasing himself? Is that what you call it?
Well, no, I didn't want to say the word like masturbate because it makes me cringe a bit. So
you said it.
Releasing yourself is much worse.
So he's not using one of those flashlight things, or he's not doing anything.
Oh, Joe knows all about
that. But he's not doing anything until after the fight because he wants to be as like, charged as possible.
That's interesting though, because Mike, you'll know about this. Like, it's if you do abstain for a little bit. No, I don't mean that you're not getting any because everybody's getting more than me. But like, if you do abstain for a little bit, it does make you a little bit anxious and like on edge and like this.
Well, yeah. So the reason why I don't abstain is because I heard a story when I was younger about this guy who didn't release himself for like 10 years, and his goosh was like the size. It's like absolutely huge. To anyone who doesn't know what a goosh is,
in America they call it the taint.
Yeah, but yeah, it was basically like having like a massive like bowling ball hanging in his pants. So I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not leaving it more than a week.
So when your girlfriend's just like, oh look, I'm a bit tired. It's like, look, I'm not doing it for me. This is a health issue.
Yeah.
So this is look. Look, I don't want to have sex either. But it's just, this is. Do you know what? It's a safety thing, really. So we should probably good. Turn the lights off. So.
Well, my husband won't do Rudy's on a Monday because he plays a 5-a-side league on a Monday night.
Rudy's?
Rudy's.
Rudy doodies.
So do you?
Yeah, well, when you're married, you don't like talk about your sex life, do you? Because it's just weird. It's like listening to your parents talk about the sex life. But yeah, my husband does a 5-a-side on a Monday, and he's like, oh, can't I need to be like charged for the match? And I'm like, it's 5-a-side. It's just.
I didn't even know that was a thing. To be honest, yeah. I'm never linked the two.
Yeah, there's quite a big thing of football managers in the 90s saying that you can't have sex before the night before a game.
Matches, yeah.
But they were all going out and getting smashed, so sort of didn't really make any difference anyway. So
they didn't realise it didn't matter if it wasn't their wife.
So do you? Yeah, well, exactly. So do you like WhatsApp your husband? You're like, oh, Rudy's tonight, and he's like, oh, sorry, I can't release myself. I've got 5-a-side. Yeah,
because he takes it really seriously, like lunges in the living room and stuff to warm up. So I just kind of leave him to it.
I don't think that's weird. I'm with him. What, you're there with like the whip, just like, oh, come on, it's Rudy's. Let's do a bit of Monday.
Come on,
and he's
darling.
Just, give me a break.
He doesn't even play football. He just goes out the house to get a rest from me.
Do you know what? I reckon he just drives and just sits in the car for a bit.
Tesco car park with a Boost bar and a cup of tea.
Yeah, just looks out the window.
I got away from her.
Thinks, I wish I'd never worked on Gladiators.
I've made some bad life choices.
Oh, dear. And speaking of bad life choices, I think that's probably quite a good place to leave it. Thank you very much, Hannah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike. Cheers. If you do want to get in touch with the show, it's RoseEdPod on Instagram and on TikTok. It's RoseEd Soccer on Twitter. You can also find us on Facebook. Just search RoseEd Soccer. It's the same on YouTube. And we will see you next time.
Bye.